What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be doing my way too early 2026 NFL mock draft. Now, typically we do a way too early mock draft immediately after the previous draft. So we did one of these all the way back in April. But since then, I have done tape evaluations of 415 different prospects for the 2026 draft class. So we're going to apply some of what I've studied, and we are going to be doing a mock draft. Now, this is what I would do. This is not predictive. This is just going to be a lot of fun here. So we're going to come back to this at the end of the year, just see how off base I was, because this is going to be terrible. I already know it. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Who do you think is deserving of being a first-round pick? Also, would love for you guys to check out the Patreon, which will be linked in the description below and in the pinned comment. For just $5 a month, you will get access to my draft guide with over 415 different prospects. You'll get my write-ups, my evaluations. I've got all sorts of different tools on there that I think are going to be really helpful for you guys. And stay tuned, as we've got tons of NFL draft and college football content coming your way. But guys, let's go ahead and kick this off. The draft order is based on my season prediction. So I did that video just a few weeks ago. That's going to be what we're basing this first order off of. And with the number one pick, we do have the Cleveland Browns. They are a really difficult team to draft for, but despite having 4 to 5 quarterbacks on the roster, I don't know if they have their franchise guy. And I'm between two players here. I'm between Cade Klubnik, the quarterback from Clemson, and I'm between Lenore Sellers, the quarterback from South Carolina. With Klubnik, you get a 6'2", 205-pound quarterback that could do a little bit of everything for you. I think he reads the field incredibly well. He has great zip on his passes, a natural throwing motion. I thought he got he improved dramatically at throwing up the seam, throwing on the run. The ball placement on some of his passes are absolutely phenomenal. I think he has a deep ball. There are some things to absolutely love about him. What you might worry about is that maybe the ceiling with the Cade Klubnik is not as high as a guy like Lenore Sellers. There are still things Klubnik needs to get cleaned up. He forces the ball into tight coverages, doesn't recognize blitzes, and he struggles at times when his first read isn't open. However, when you got Lenore Sellers, who I do have graded a little bit higher, he just brings some elite upside to the position. He's 6'3", 242 pounds. One of the best athletes, senses pressure really well, great runner, has maybe the best arm in the entire draft class. He's very up and down. The accuracy's all over the place, and I think he really struggled to read defenses. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you betting on the upside of a guy like a Lenore Sellers, or are you going with, look, we have to get back to our roots and get a high floor quarterback? For me, I'm going with the high floor. I'm going to take Cade Klubnik out of Clemson to be the number one overall pick, which makes this a really easy decision for the New Orleans Saints. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the connections between Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback at LSU. His dad is the offensive coordinator for the Saints. But to tell the truth, I don't see Garrett Nussmeier as a first-round quarterback. So with that being said, I am going to take Lenore Sellers. There is a lot that he needs to clean up in his game. There's no doubt about it. But Kellen Moore did a really good job with Jalen Hurts last year, using him on the run, and there are just not very many athletes that come into the league like a Lenore Sellers with a cannon for a right arm, the ability to sense pressure really well, escape pressure, make plays happen with his legs. If he can improve his accuracy, there is an upside for him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I'm going to take him at number 2, and I think that's a really good situation for him to go to, and a rebuilding Saints team with a great offensive line. At number 3, we got the Miami Dolphins, and I know a lot of people would be talking about if the Dolphins are picking this high, then they are probably going to be taking a quarterback. And I get that, but when I look at the quarterback, remember, I just don't see Garrett Nussmeier as that guy. If they're picking number 3, I think there's a complete culture shift. They're getting back to they have to build from within, build in the trenches. And they've done a better job in recent years of trying to get bigger bodies on the line. They drafted Kenneth Grant this year, Jonas Savaiinaia. I think the offensive line still needs some help, though. And I am going to take my number 1 offensive lineman in the draft class. That is going to be Utah right tackle Spencer Fano. Fano is my number 6 prospect in the class, and I think he is a perfect fit for this team. He is a right tackle, which I think, yes, you've got Austin Jackson in that spot now, and he's a fine, serviceable starter. But I think you can elevate the floor of that really easily. Fano is one of the freakiest athletes you are going to see. He looks like a tight end moving on wide zone blocks. He is a ridiculous athlete that can clear lanes in the run game, but I think he has good hand fighting in the passing game. He will need to improve his anchor, and he is just 302 pounds. So you might have some question marks there, but I think Fano is every bit a first-round pick and a guy that absolutely has my attention. I think he fits very well with what Miami wants and what they need, so I'm going to take him at number 3. For the New York Giants, I think they also could go offensive line here. This is a team that I think there's a lot of different ways that they could go. Receivers in play, I don't know how many first-round talents are here for this receiving class. Like, I love Jordan Tyson. I've talked about this. I like Mekhi Lemon. I like a couple of these guys. I just don't know how many of them are true first-round talents. But I do think there are some good offensive linemen on the board. And I know a lot of people like Caden Proctor. I've seen that be a common pick. There are 2 reasons why I'm not going to take Caden Proctor. One, I am a little terrified that this could be another Evan Neal situation, and I think Giants fans will share that sentiment. Number 2, he's a left tackle, and I just don't like taking left tackles and moving them to the right side. I'm going to take Francis Mauigoa out of Miami, a guy that is the right tackle for Miami. He's been really productive throughout his collegiate career, but on top of that, I think he's a guy that can kick inside to play guard. He reminds me a lot of Talise Fuaga, a guy that plays with a great amount of power, has great hand placement, and just can dominate one-on-one reps. Great play strength, and a guy that I think can make plays on the move as a run blocker. He does need to improve some of his technique, and I do think there is a world where they kick him inside to guard at the next level. The length has been a question mark brought up by a number of people, but I don't know. I think this is a really Giants pick. I think he could play right guard for you. He could play right tackle. And I think he's a day 1 starter on the offensive line. So I'm going to take Mauigoa at number 4. At number 5 for the New York Jets, I do think if they're picking in the top 5, they are taking a quarterback. The Justin Fields experiment is not one that I am excited to watch. You guys know, if you follow the channel for a while, I just don't believe in Justin Fields as a franchise quarterback. And I'm going to take a guy that I think can be a really good starter in this league. And that's going to be Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. Now, Mendoza is my QB 5. We have Arch Manning in there as well, but I don't expect Arch to get drafted, and he's not in the simulator. Mendoza is, in that case, he'd be my 4th guy. I love the upside, though. 6'5", 225 pounds. A guy that has a really good arm. The ball just flies off his hand. He's really good at throwing on the move, and he can move. He was one of the toughest quarterbacks that I watched. Took some big hits, but stayed in the pocket, made some really good plays, and I thought the accuracy was really strong. His eyes have to get better. He stared down reads a lot. The pocket feel is very up and down, but a guy that I think has all the traits that you want to see. And he played behind a garbage offensive line at Cal last year. The Jets have a better offensive line. I think he would be in a position where he could come in and thrive right away. And even if you don't want to start him next year, you still have Fields for one more year. But I think Mendoza has the upside to be one of the best quarterbacks in this class. So I'm going to take him at number 5. At number 6, we've got the Carolina Panthers. I love what Carolina has done, and I have them as a sleeper team this year, despite them still finishing with the 6th overall pick. A lot of different ways they can go, but I am going to go with a secondary player, and I'm taking Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. Probably the best player in this draft class, regardless of position. And outside of Trayvon Merrick, who they brought in from the Raiders, their safety room is terrible. I think Caleb Downs is a generational prospect, a guy with great feel and coverage. I think he moves well. He's got great speed, great eyes in zone. The ball skills are there, but what I love most about him is his willingness to defend the run. He is fantastic as a run defender. He's a great box player. There are so many things that I love about what Caleb Downs can bring to the table. I'm a huge fan of this player. I'm going to take him at number 6. And I think that gives the Titans a really easy pick here to go with an edge rusher. This is a team that I like what the Titans are doing right now. I think they have to address their pass rush because you've got Jeffrey Simmons on the inside and T'Vondre Sweat. And I loved the Oladejo pick that they made in the second round, but you need a true franchise edge rusher, a guy that can get after the quarterback. And to me, that's Ruben Bain out of Miami. So this would be the second straight year where the Hurricanes have a first rounder go to Tennessee. But Ruben Bain is my number 2 prospect in this class. 6'3", 275 pounds, an incredibly explosive athlete that has the size that you look for a 4-3 edge. He has an advanced understanding of how to use his hands with swipes and chops and even spins, but he's a great run defender. He can win with speed and power. And while he didn't have the greatest season as a sophomore, there is still some high-end NFL stuff in there. Has to improve his tackling, but I think this is a guy that you could argue is the best player in the class, and I wouldn't bat an eye. I think he is that talented. He'll be my pick at number 7. At number 8 for the Cleveland Browns, I think they have to go with an offensive lineman. Their offensive line, you've got DeJuan Jones in there, but outside of that, I don't really love what they're building there. So I am going to take an offensive lineman, and that player is going to be, there's a bunch of different guys that are in the mix here. Caden Proctor, Isaiah World, and Caleb Lomu, I think are all worth first-round picks. I have first-round grades on all of them. Isaiah World is my top-ranked tackle, though, in that's still on the board. Yes, the penalties are a massive red flag, but a guy that has just incredible tape top to bottom. Reminds me a lot of Laramie Tunsil. Caleb Lomu as well. I have him as my number 4 tackle. 6'6", 304 pounds, but great hands in pass protection, great footwork, and picks up blitz as well. He's a good athlete, can make plays on the run. I think I'm going to take... Originally, I took Caden Proctor, but I just don't... There's a lot of question marks with me, and I think the Browns need to go with high floor players. And to me, the highest floor here is Isaiah World. So I'm going to take Isaiah World. I know that's really high for some people, but if he has the season that he can have, that I think he can have at Oregon, he's coming from Nevada, but if he can continue to get better, I think the sky is the absolute limit for this player. So I'm going to take Isaiah World at number 8. At number 9, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Very interesting spot to be in. They're a sneaky running back team to me. I think Jeremiah Love is very much in play for them here. A team that I think they want to run the football. They just don't really have the best running backs right now. I think Kenneth Walker hasn't been able to prove he can stay healthy, and I just don't know if you're getting that top gear that you want to see from a guy like Zach Charbonnet. So I think Jeremiah Love is in play here, but with the way that the board kind of fell, I'm going to take Peter Woods out of Clemson, an interior defensive lineman that is my number 3 overall prospect in the class. 6'3", 315 pounds. And if there's one thing that Seattle wants to do, it is establish their defense. We have seen this constantly. They drafted Byron Murphy last year. They still have Leonard Williams, and I still think they could go with another guy because Jaron Reed had a bit of an outlier season last year. We don't know if he's going to be able to repeat that production. If he can't, you get a guy like Peter Woods, who is an absolute... He's just an animal on the inside. Like I said, 6'3", 315, burst off the line of scrimmage that you love to see. One of the best run defenders that is plugging gaps, making plays. He's got versatility to play all over the alignment. He played edge last year for Clemson at 315 pounds. He has good hands as a pass rusher, can split double teams. He does need to improve his anchor as a run defender, but I love the upside of this player. I'm going to take him at number 9. At number 10, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders, another team that I think could be in the quarterback market, but I do think too many people are sleeping on Geno. This is a team that I think the secondary is a massive question mark. They got rid of Jacorian Bennett for who knows what reason, and they're going with DeCamerion Richardson and Darian Porter as your 2 outside corners. I think that can get better, and I'm going to take Jermod McCoy. I think he fits exactly what Pete Carroll wants to do. He is a big, physical, press man corner, 6 foot, 193 pounds, that you absolutely love to see. He is a great tackler in the open field, but I thought he had the ability to mirror at such a high level fluid hips, great change of direction. Go back and watch what he did in that Alabama game against Ryan Williams, where he was locked down. The ball skills are there. He has good zone instincts. And I just think that he is a guy that if he comes back fully healthy from the injury, is going to be a top 10 pick. I am all in on Jermod McCoy. I think he's the top corner in this class. I'm going to have him going to the Raiders at pick 10. At number 11, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I shouldn't have to give any explanation here. It's Jeremiah Love of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's just exactly what this team needs. They need a true bell cow number one running back. And I think you're getting that in Jeremiah Love, a guy that runs with toughness, speed, power, incredible burst and explosiveness, the ability to get in and out of cuts. He is a remarkable player that I think the sky is the limit. So I'm going to take him at number 11. I really like what he can do, and I think he's exactly what Dallas needs. At number 12, we have my Indianapolis Colts. I know a lot of people are going to go quarterback here. I'm holding out hope. I'm not going to go quarterback here, even though more than likely, if they're picking this high, they'll go quarterback. I'm going to go offensive line, though, because I think there is an alarming hole at offensive line. Once Braden Smith goes, like you drafted Jalen Travis, and that's fine. I just think that this team needs to improve the depth on the line. I'm going to go with Caden Proctor, a guy that I think, yes, you might have to move to right tackle, which I talked about earlier. I don't like to do. For the Colts, I think you're better equipped to do that. This is a player that is going to go in the top 15 because the traits are that good. On my big board, I don't have him remarkably high. He's my number 30 overall player, but a guy that is 6'7", 369 pounds with incredible size, the ability to make plays and pass protection, almost a movable anchor at times. It's up and down, and it got bad towards the end of the year, but a guy that just has everything you want to see. He can get outside. He's a surprisingly good athlete to move in a zone rushing scheme. There's just a lot to really like about this player. I think he'll go in the top 15, and I think the Colts will be the team to take him. And similarly, I think you see another offensive lineman go in Caleb Lomu to the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team that you've got Colton McKivitz at right tackle. Trent Williams isn't going to play forever, and I just don't love the insurance plans that you have. We talked about how much I like Caleb Lomu as a prospect. 6'6", 304 with good hands and pass protection, athleticism. I thought his footwork overall was probably better than his teammates. I think he's got better anchor than Spencer Fano. He's not quite the athlete that Fano is, but a guy that just fits outside zone rushing schemes so well. He is 304 pounds and will need to add on weight. He overset at times. He got beat to his outside shoulder. And I thought he struggled to consistently connect in the run game. But the high-end plays that Caleb Lomu brings are absolutely worth taking. And I'm going to have him going at number 13. At number 14, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Quarterback is absolutely in play for this team. They have 2 first-round picks. They pick at number 14 and at number 26. So there are a couple of ways that they can go. I'm ultimately not going to end up going with a quarterback here. I'm going to go with a different route, I think, and take a corner. I think if you look, Arizona won't take a quarterback. The Chargers won't take a quarterback. Pittsburgh might take one, but there are at least 2 or 3 quarterbacks that I feel okay about on the board that I think you can get one of them. I'm going to take a corner here because I do think corner's in play. Avion Terrell will be my pick. Not the biggest corner in the world. He's 5'11", 180 and will need to add on weight and strength. But a guy that if you want a guy that can just lock guys down on the boundary, I think Avion Terrell is absolutely one of those players. Quick hips, great closing speed on the football with phenomenal ball skills. He's a disciplined coverage defender that doesn't bite on double moves. He can come downhill, hit hard in the run game. Yeah, his missed tackle rate is high, but a guy that I just think the upside is very much there. I'm going to have him going at number 14. At number 15 for the Cardinals, a couple of different ways I could see them going as well. I think a pass rusher could happen. You got Josh Sweat and you got Baron Browning, but TJ Parker's on the board. Keldrick Folk is on the board. 2 guys I really, really like. I'm not going to go that route. You could go linebacker. Anthony Hill Jr. is my top linebacker. I think that's going to terrify Cardinals fans going with another first-round linebacker. I also think receiver is a move that this team could look to make. I think Jordan Tyson is the top receiver in this class. Can you elevate your wide receiver too? Is that a move that you think is that desperate? I like Michael Wilson. I'm not in love with him as a number 2. I think you can do some damage with Jordan Tyson in the slot, or you can move guys around. I'm talking myself into this one because originally I did go Anthony Hill, but I think I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson here for the Arizona Cardinals, a team that needs a number 2 receiver, and I think Jordan Tyson is every bit. Well, I think he's a number 1. I have Jordan Tyson as my 5th overall player in this class. 6'2", 195 pounds. He has to prove that he can stay healthy, but when he's on the field, he is an exceptional athlete with the ability to run crisp routes, can work inside and outside. He is a great deep ball threat. I think he complements this receiving room perfectly. I'm going to take Jordan Tyson at number 15. At number 16 for the Chargers, I think they are jumping for joy. TJ Parker is still on the board. He will be the pick here without question to me. Outside of Khalil Mack, this team's pass rush is very concerning to me. Tuli Tuipulotu is fine, but he's not this elite pass rusher. TJ Parker reminds me a lot of what we talked about with Jared Verse just last year. A guy that is a dynamic power rusher. That is what he does best, and he does it at a very high level. I really, really like what TJ Parker can do. Size, length, it's there. I think he's a very solid run defender as well. He is too reliant on his speed and power, and I'd like to see a more consistent counter move. But this is a guy that I am a huge fan of. I have TJ Parker as my 10th overall prospect in this class. At number 17 is where I am going to make my craziest pick, the guy that I am planting my flag on who I think has the chance to be the top quarterback in this class. If you guys have followed the channel, you know who I'm talking about. And it's none of the guys you see here. And it's going to be a bit of a far scroll here. Yeah, we are going to go, where is he? We are going to be taking Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor. This is going to shock some people, but I genuinely believe that Sawyer Robertson is a first-round talent at the quarterback position. I've seen guys like Todd McShay recently start talking about him a little bit more, but this is a guy that I have been all in on since the start of the summer scouting series. Formerly of Mississippi State, a guy that won the starting job last year, but he's 6'4", 220, that is a dynamic passer. I mean, his pocket presence, I think, is really, really good. He reads the field, goes through his progressions excellently. He has great ball placement, can throw on the run, just absolutely dial up some nasty throws in space, layers his throws beautifully, has great arm talent. His accuracy is very, very good. His deep ball is up and down. That definitely needs some work. And can he read pressures and blitzes a little bit more consistently? Yes, I think he can do that. Sawyer Robertson is my QB1, though. I have him as my 12th best player in this class. I think too many people are sleeping on him. I'm taking him here to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who need a franchise quarterback. They need a guy that can elevate your team. And I think Sawyer Robertson is that player. So I'm taking him at number 17. At number 18, we have the Minnesota Vikings, and this is a team that I think needs to address their boundary corner spot. I'm going to go with A.J. Harris out of Penn State. I think this is a really good option for this team. A guy that I think is so fluid. He's a really good athlete. I do think the production has not quite matched the tape. I have him as my number 5 corner, but he's my number 3 boundary corner, so he fits here. He misses way too many tackles. The ball skills aren't all the way there. He bites in coverage, but fluid athlete, plays with physicality, can be a blitzing threat, has good speed, has good length. All of the measurements check out at 6'1", 193. And I think he's got another level to get to. So I'm going to take A.J. Harris here at number 18. At number 19, we've got the New England Patriots. Now, originally, I had Jordan Tyson falling here, and I think that would be a great spot. Now they're kind of in a tough spot because I do think receiver is their biggest need. They say D-line, receiver, linebacker. I think receiver is their biggest need. Now, if we're going based off my board, Mekhi Lemon is my number 2 receiver. They've got Mekhi Lemon here at 67. I just don't know how he fits with Kyle Williams. I think Mekhi Lemon is more of a slot option. I just don't know if that's the right pick for this team. You could go, my next boundary guy would be Denzel Boston. I think it's a little high to go with a Denzel Boston here. So ultimately, I think this is a really interesting spot for them to be in. You could go offensive line. Again, you drafted Will Campbell last year. I like what they've done on the line. I think it's an overall pretty good unit. I think I'm going to go with an edge rusher for this team. A team that I think needs a true number one pass rusher. You've got Harold Landry. I know you drafted Braden Swinson last year, but I think you need some more explosiveness off the edge, maybe even a guy that can play that outside linebacker spot and just get after the quarterback. I'm going to go with David Bailey out of Texas Tech, the best pure speed rusher in this class, and you could argue maybe the best pass rusher straight up in this class. Some of the most ridiculous double moves and just overall consistent plays that you're going to see from him. I love this guy as a prospect. I think he is phenomenal. I have him as my number 22 prospect, so right around this range. I'm a big fan of what he can do. I'm going to take him at number 19. I think the Patriots need more speed on this defense. And ultimately, at number 20, I'm going to go with the other guy that was in consideration in Keldrick Folk. The reason I didn't go with Folk is I think he is more of a 3-4 defensive end type of player that I just don't think New England needs. I think Keon White has been really, really good for them. As for Washington, I think he's exactly what they need. I think he can play 4-3 defensive end for you. He is a top 10 player in the class for me. He is my number 9 player. I just love what this guy brings to the table. 6'6", 270. I think he'll be 19 years old at the time of the draft. Excellent size with the ability to defend the run. But I think the pass rush upside is there. He showed some power. He showed a good rip move. And I think he can play inside and outside. He doesn't have this advanced pass rushing plan yet. But I think the upside is certainly there for him to get there. And I really like what he could be. So I'm going to take him at number 20. At number 21 for the Chicago Bears, I think you're going to start to see a run on defensive players. Edge isn't a need for them, but I'm actually going to go running back for this team because they didn't address running back at all in last year's draft. I know they took Kyle Monangai, but I'm going to go with the guy that I just think is a first-round caliber back, and I loved him last year. He is currently my number 23 prospect in this class. That is going to be Penn State running back Nick Singleton. Still a pretty young player, but I just love what he can be. He showed good hands as a receiving back, but a guy that is patient, has great jump cuts, good burst, quickness, shiftiness in the open field with elite long speeds. He does remind me a little bit of Jahmyr Gibbs, which we know Ben Johnson had a lot of success with him. I'm going to take Nick Singleton. I think he gets into the first round, and I think he's a perfect fit for what Chicago needs as a rusher. At number 22, we've got the Houston Texans. I think offensive line, you just go back to that well. There are a number of different guys that I'm looking at, but I want to address the interior of this line. You got Ariante Arcery, you got Blake Fisher. You feel okay about your tackles, but I think the interior, like Jarrett Patterson didn't show much for you. You've got to go, to me, with a guy that I think gives you a high floor. That is going to be Jake Slaughter out of Florida. The best center in this class. He has a true first-round grade for me. I have him as my number 27 overall prospect. A guy that is 6'4", 294 with great athleticism, great hands and feet that mirror each other so well. He's a great run blocker, has great footwork, reads blitzes, calls out protections. You might worry about the size, can be a bit of a lunger at times, but he is every bit a first-round interior player that I think is exactly what this Houston Texans team is looking for. At number 23, we got the Green Bay Packers. I think this is another team that has to go with the secondary. Dylan Thieneman is a guy that I really considered here, but I like the safety room with Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, Kitson Oladapo as well. I think corner is where this team is going to look, and I'm going to go a little bit off the board here, a guy that's not getting a lot of first-round buzz. I'm going to take Chandler Rivers out of Duke, a guy that is a first-round player to me. He is just the smartest corner, I think, in the draft class, bar none. I think he just reads coverages so well, has the quickness to jump the lanes and make really good plays. He's a great mover. He's got good ball skills and can play inside, outside. Zone IQ is very much there. He might not be have the greatest burners, but I think the reason people aren't talking about him this highly is he's 5'8". Yes, I'm taking a big chance putting him in the first round, but I think despite the size limitations, this is a physical player that was not pushed off the rocker or pushed off the ball very often. He just is disciplined. He's smart. I think he fits what this team wants to do. I'm going to take him at number 23. At number 24, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. They need to go with defense. You could go a number of ways for this team. I think secondary makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go, originally I had gone with Caleb Banks, and I love Caleb Banks. I think they feel okay about Chris Jenkins, who they drafted, and McKinley Jackson, to where you could wait to go with an interior defensive lineman. I don't think the safety class is that great after the first round, so give me Dylan Thieneman. This is a team that didn't pay Jesse Bates, and it has cost them big time. Dylan Thieneman is a 6', 207-pound safety with elite sideline-to-sideline range. The pre-snap recognition, I think, is really smart. He's a 4.3 speed guy with the versatility to play anywhere and is a great run defender. I think the tackling technique could get better, but a guy that has been getting buzz since he was a true freshman. He is a guy that I have as my number 21 prospect in this class. So I'm a big fan of him, and I'm going to have him going at number 24. At number 25, we got the Denver Broncos, a team that I really struggle on where does this team look. Tight end to me is where I think would make the most sense. I just don't see any of these guys as first-round caliber tight ends. I don't. I have Kenyon Sadiq as my number 1 tight end. I just don't see him as a first-rounder. You could go with a defensive lineman because you've got a couple of impending free agents, and John Franklin Myers and Nick Benito, I believe their contracts both are up, but I don't really think that's a big need for this team right now. If I was going to go anybody, I think it would be Mateo Uiagalelei. And ultimately, I think that is where I'm going to go. I know edge is not the biggest need for the Broncos, but with John Franklin Myers, his contract's expiring next year, I do think you could look to upgrade that spot, and I am a big fan of Mateo. I think he is a guy that's 6'5", 270. I think he can defend the run pretty well. You can dial him back on stunts, which this Broncos team loves to use stunts. He's a solid athlete with good change of direction and bend. And while he doesn't have a great amount of counter moves, he is another guy that's really young, and I think the upside is definitely there. So I'm going to take Mateo Uiagalelei to the Denver Broncos. All right, so we're on the clock here at number 26 for the Los Angeles Rams. And I do think quarterback is the position that they would be looking for. There are a couple of names here. I'm between Drew Aller, the quarterback from Penn State, and Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback from LSU. I do like Sam Leavitt actually better than both of these guys. I have him and John Mateer higher, but I do think Nussmeier or Aller will get into the first round over them. I'm going to go ultimately with Drew Aller. I do have Nussmeier a little bit higher on my board, but I think for the Rams, a team that I don't think is going to be looking to start Aller right away, he can develop really nicely here where they can get a young quarterback. I think he is a younger, better athlete, better size, better arm. He's better in a lot of areas except the mental areas where I think Nussmeier washes him. I just think that that's kind of what this team is looking for right now, is a developmental quarterback. I think Arch is a guy that they want. Sellers is a guy I think they would absolutely look into. But I'm going to take Drew Aller here at pick 26. Here at pick 27, I think that the Eagles are going to try and address the defensive line where they did have some issues this offseason in terms of losing a lot of talent. You lost Milton Williams, and I know that they've got some young guys that are up and coming, but I'm going to go with Caleb Banks out of Florida, a guy that I just love the upside, a player who I was a really big fan of, and his tape against LSU is one of the most fun you will watch. A top 15 guy in the class for me. Freak athlete at 6'6", 329 pounds. Good bull rush, relentless motor, active hands as a pass rusher. Has a 26% missed tackle rate. That is very much concerning, but a player who I am a big fan of nonetheless. At number 28 for the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to go with an edge rusher and take LT Overton out of Alabama. Overton is a player that I am not the most fond of, but you can't deny the traits. He's 6'5", 280 pounds, can play inside and outside, has great power, good explosiveness, and is a really good run defender. While he might not bring enough as a pass rusher just yet, I think the tools are certainly in there for a guy that has had a really productive first year at Alabama. So I'm going to take Overton at 28 and try and help that Buffalo defensive line. At number 29 for the Bucs, taking Anthony Hill Jr. I think this team desperately needs a number one linebacker, and Anthony Hill is my number one in the class. He's 6'3", 235. Incredible athlete, the guy that could trigger quickly downhill. He's really fluid in terms of his change of direction. He's a smart coverage player, and I love everything that he brings to the table. He can tackle, he can cover, and he can defend the run. That's what you're looking for in a linebacker, and Levante David can't play forever. I think Anthony Hill is worthy of being a first-round pick. At number 30 for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they could use another boundary corner, but I want to get some versatility. A guy that could play inside, outside, can maybe even play safety. I'm going to go off the board here and take Xavier Scott out of Illinois. If he was a little bit faster and a little bit bigger, we would be talking about him like Devon Witherspoon. There's so much to love about him. He's 5'11", 190 with some great hip fluidity, just a really tough competitor, a really good run defender, can stop and go on a dime. He is fantastic. He might be a slot guy at the next level. He's not this crazy athlete, but he fits the mold of what Kansas City looks for in their defensive backs. I'm going to take him at number 30. At number 31, we got the Detroit Lions. A bunch of different ways I could see them going as well. Edge, I think, is still a need for this team after not really getting a number 2 edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And I think that's a need for this team. If we're looking at my edge rankings right now, the next guy on my board is Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. I just don't know that I would take him in the first round. Not the biggest guy. He's 6'4", 255. You know what? Let's show some love. I don't know how often he'll get into first-round mocks, especially once we get into it, but Cassius Howell was the most productive pass rusher on that Texas A&M defense last year that had Nick Scorton and Shamar Stewart on it. He's 6'4", 255. His hands and his feet are in sync beautifully. He's a good run defender, has a bunch of different moves as a pass rusher. I think they can find ways to use him. So I'm going to take Cassius Howell here at 31. And then at 32, we're going to go offensive line for the Ravens, particularly on the interior, and take Caden Green. He is one of my top guards in this draft class. He is my top guard in the draft class, actually, now that I look at it. He just does so many different things that you want to see. He is a good athlete at 6'5", 320. He can chip block. He can get to the second level in the run game with good hand placement. Had some trouble maintaining blocks, but I definitely think he is a first-round caliber player. But that's going to do it for me in this one, guys. My first-round mock draft. This one was a lot of fun. This one, obviously, a lot different than our first mock that we did, but what do we have? 4 quarterbacks going in the first round? 5? We had 5 first-round quarterbacks. So I'm really excited about this upcoming season. If you guys want to join the journey, be a part of this season, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. Leave a like. It helps get this video out to more NFL draft fans like yourself. Comment down below who you want to see me do a prospect spotlight on. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.